Hello everyone. Today's concept is user-defined functions and recursion. Topics of discussion are what is function, need of function in C, why function, types of functions, and working of function. Before actually looking into functions, let us see one example. Write a C program to perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of two numbers. Here we are given with one program to write, so which is having some operations to be performed. What are those operations? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. As we look into this program, it is looking so big, consisting of more number of options. So how to write this program? There is one solution. What is that solution? Let's divide the program. Means what? Here the large program can be divided into subprograms and we can approach these subprograms. So we can find solution for these subprograms and then we can combine the solutions of these subprograms to get a solution for this large program. And these subprograms are called as modules or functions. And this type of programming is called as modular programming. Next, what is function? So, how we can define a function? A function is a block of code that performs a specific task. Yes? So, function is nothing but it is some set of statements or block of code which is going to perform certain task. Here, in case of program, if we need to perform same task more than once, that time we are having two options in front of us. What is first option? We have to use the same set of statements every time we want to perform that task in our program. Means the same set of functions same set of statements has to be written over and over in our program. That is first option. Second option is what? We can create a function which can perform that task and just we need to call that function every time we need in our program. So second option is what? We are creating one function and we will be writing functionality for that function. Whenever we want that functionality in our program, we can directly call that function and we can use that function in our program. So by looking into these two options, using option B is good practice. So hence we can make use of functions in our program. Is function really needed in C program? Yes, because every C program execution is going to start from main function or main method, you can say. So at least one function should be there in C program. What is that function? Main function. Next is why functions. So we can make use of other functions in our program. So why we need these other functions? Functions are used because of following reasons. What are those reasons? First, to improve the readability of code. So when you use functions and you can divide the task of a program function wise, you can read it very easily. Means you can understand it in a better manner. Second advantage of using function is it is going to improve the usability of the code. The same function can be used in any program rather than writing the same code from scratch. So once you have written some statement of code as a function, you can make use of that function whenever you want in your program. So it is going to avoid the writing of the code from scratch. Third advantage of using function is what? Debugging of code would be easier if you use functions, as errors are easy to be traced. If you are getting some errors in your program, if it is a big lines of code, you may have a difficulty in tracing the errors. So if you are written your program as a functions, so then it is very easy to trace the errors and you can correct those errors very easily. Next advantage of using function is it reduces the size of code by avoiding duplication of statements. Means whenever you want the particular task is to be done repeatedly in your program, you can directly call that function instead of writing that lines of statements again and again. So this is how it is going to reduce the size of the code. So these are some of the advantages of using functions. So this is how we can make use of different functions in main function for easier solving and easier debugging, and we can make use of reusability concept. Next we'll move to types of functions. So first type of function is predefined standard library functions. So these are the functions which are already having definitions in header files. So we are not going to provide functionality for these types of functions. They are already defined in a header files. So we are just going to use those functions. We are not going to provide functionality for these functions, but we can use these functions in our program. As we have already used printf, scanf, gets and puts, we have not given a functionality. We have not written any functionality for those functions, but we have made use of them by declaring a header files. For example, these printf and scanf functions are present in standard input output header file. So before making use of these printf and scanf functions in our program, we have to declare these header files, that is standard input output header file in our program. For example, if you are making use of any mathematical functions like square root, if you want to make use of square root function, that time you have to declare math.h, so math header file in your program. So here these predefined standard library functions are nothing but they are predefined functions which are already defined within a header files. We are just calling them for their task to be performed. So this is about first type of function. So next, second type of function is user defined functions. The functions that we create in a program are known as user defined functions. So if we want to achieve some specific task, so that time we can create our own functions. Such type of functions are called as user defined functions. So here is the structure of program function. Here we have written one function. This is function name along with the return type. So some set of codes are written within the function, and here is the main method. So as we know, execution of any C program is going to start from main method. So control will be here at the first. So when it starts executing the lines within a main function, so here it is encountering some function name. So when the control encounters this function name, the control is going to jump to that particular function. Here in step 1, what you can see, whenever the control is encountering some function name, it is going to transfer the control to that particular function. So here the implementation of function is written, means functionality of the function is written, so which is calling here. So we are calling this function here, so the control is going to execute this function now. So now what happens? So control is here. So it is going to execute all the statements which are present in this function. Once it is over, means all the statements are executed which are present in this particular function, the control is going to return back to the main function. Yes. So next, all other statements which you have written after this function call are executed. So I'll repeat here. So here one function we have written, then it is the main function. So execution is going to start from main function. So here it will be executing some set of statements. Next, when control encounters this function name, so it is going to jump to that function for execution. So then control will be here and it is going to execute all set of statements which we have written within a function. Once these executions are done, then the control is going to return back. So that you can see as a step 2. The control will be returning back to the main function and it will be executing all other statements which are after the function call. So this is how functions works in a program. Here is an example. Here, so we are having main method and one more method or a function you can say, that is add function. So before using any of the method in our program, we have to declare it. So that will be studying in later part. So just time being, note it, whenever you are using any of the function in our program, we have to declare it. Next, execution is going to start from this main method. Here within a main method, what we have written? We have written add function. Means, so whenever control comes here, it is nothing but it is calling add function. So control will be directly jumping to this add function. So here, next, all the statements within add function are executed. What you have written here? You have declared some variables a, b, c. Next, you are reading value for variable a and b. Next, you are performing addition operation and the result is going to store in variable c. Next, what you are going to do? You are printing the sum. So this is how. So here when control jumps to add function, here it comes. So printf statement will be executed. So that you can see in output, enter two numbers. So here 3 and 4 are entered. So A will be getting 3, B will be getting 4 value. Next addition is being performed, that is 7 is going to assign to the variable C. Next it is printing C. Yes, once it is over, the control will be returning back to main method or main function. As there are no statements present in main function, so program is going to terminate. Here you can see the output of this program. So one function we have made use here, that is add function. So this is how functions are performed in a program. So at the end, we have learned about the functions, advantages of using functions, types of functions and how functions work.